Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Dean Rogers. I got an awesome interview today. We got a guest on, Raul Bolufe. We got him
Hey,
on from Florida, Miami, and super excited to have you. Thanks for joining us, Raul.
I appreciate it, Dean. Thank you, man. You got the last name right. It only took one take. That's what I'm
That's
talking
it.
about.
Nailed it, man. Well, we can close it up now. Well, awesome, man. So where are you at right now, man? You sit in an office? You guys got a full team there or what?
Yeah, man. This is our office here in Miami. We're located in a little section called Coral Gables, and this is a
Okay.
team, man. Some acquisitions guys,
Heck yeah.
some people out here getting some
Awesome.
deals done.
Awesome. So let's kick things off with just kind of letting people know who you are, what you're all about, man. So you're a real estate investor.
Yeah, real estate investor. Basically, just we were talking a little earlier, but I got started by listening to a podcast when I was like, 7 years ago. I was 21, and
What was the podcast?
it was a Sean Terry Flip to Freedom
Woo! Woo-hoo! Yeah,
OG.
baby. So I got started 8 years ago listening to Sean Terry Flip to Freedom podcast.
His ears are probably ringing right now,
Hell yeah. Yeah, he's got some good vibes coming his way.
bro.
I love to get him shout outs.
Which I think is amazing because even 7, 8 years ago, I don't know. Some people might say that's super short, really long, but I think the same thing today. Like people can get started on YouTube videos or podcasts. I think now
100%.
there's like probably 50x more people doing it that are
So much more.
good people. I think it was like only Sean Terry, Matt Terrio, like those maybe like a handful of good guys.
Just a handful, yeah.
And so yeah, I got started there. Before that, I was like learning sales at a car dealership. It was my fault. It was like a family-owned car dealership, and I hated it. And I'm just like, I need to figure out a way to get into real estate because I just noticed all the people I was selling Mercedes Benz to and fancy cars. When I asked them what they did and fill out their application, they're like, "Oh, I do real estate, or I sell real estate, I own real estate, I flip real estate." I'm like, "All right,
The writing was on the wall.
yeah, I'm like, I'm done making $200 a car. Let's figure this thing out." So I quit and started listening to podcasts, and yeah, ended up really taking the wholesale route. So learning how to wholesale houses and find motivated sellers. Actually, the way I started was finding listed properties. I actually would
Oh,
wholesale
wow.
properties on MLS. That was really like what got me going.
Do you find that to be hard, or was it like different challenges you had to overcome, or?
Yeah, it was different challenges. Definitely. Like back then, there was a lot of foreclosures, a lot of short sale. This was like 2013, right?
Yeah.
2014. So there was a lot of listings in general, just on the
There
market.
were a lot of good deals just right there on the market.
Oh man, it
I
was
remember
cherry picking.
that.
It was so, but the hard part back then for me was finding enough buyers to buy them. Isn't that funny? So
It
like
is, yeah.
I was getting our team was getting 7 to 9 contracts a month just right off the MLS,
Wow.
but we couldn't even sell all of them sometimes. So it was funny.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember talking to my partner because we got started at a pretty similar time, right? And a year after I was in, I was talking to my partner, and flash forward to now, he's like, "Dude, the number of deals that we used to pass on because they were only 30, $40,000 profit deals."
yeah.
Instead of like people fighting over a 15 or $20,000 profit deal, half of the amount, could have been a whole lot more deals we could have done, you know?
No, it's yeah. Back then, I mean, obviously we don't have the crystal ball just yet, but looking
Yeah.
at that, I'm like, man, all these deals on the MLS, like crazy. So that's really how I got started. I started making offers on the MLS. I don't really recommend it nowadays to people newer because it's like I mean, you could just look at online how many there's a lot less listings on the market. There's at 10x the competition. It's just a little tougher game right now in the MLS, but man, I had no clue what I was doing, just making offers, getting deals, having agents curse me out a few times, so I figured it
Oh
out.
yeah.
And then, yeah, that's how I got started, man.
So let's unpack that a little bit because I think what I've always find interesting, and I still like these conversations to this day. You know, you and we've freaking grinded it out, right? We've put in years of hard work. I'm sure you've had a bunch of bumps and bruises along the way, like I have. I've gotten the crap beat out of me, made some mistakes, lost a bunch of money on things,
Yeah.
and that's kind of part of the journey. But right there at that beginning point is such a critical kind of make or break kind of moment, because a lot of people give up. A lot of people will see how much effort, and they see other people with the results and they're like, ooh, I want that. But then when they really get into the work, like almost anything new, there's a big learning curve that you have to overcome.
Yeah.
Even if it's on a silver platter for you with a coaching program that tells you every single thing to do, like Sean Terry's free podcast. I literally followed everything to a T and was able to do my first deal and make $6,000 in 3 months. So that was a major milestone for me. And it was pretty fast, some people, it takes a lot longer, but what do you think it was for you at the very beginning to have that breakthrough moment? Because you were doing 7 to 9 deals, you were locking up.
Right.
Sounds like pretty quick. More than I was doing.
Yeah, but I wasn't selling them all. That was just like kind of
Sure.
what we were locking up. And,
even if you sold a quarter of those, you're still doing, you were still like doing deals pretty quick.
Yeah, and I could go into a little bit of like the business model back then. So you and your audience can have a little context of like what, how much money and things were actually happening. But what's funny is that it also took me 3 months and I made $6,000 on my first deal. So
heck yeah, baby.
There you go.
$6,000 first deal, 3 month, brothers.
Right on the wall. Man, like you hit on the head. Like a lot of people quit, or in the beginning, I think what really happens of why people quit is they set their expectation at some kind of bar that is unrealistic, or they set their expectations too low. So we could break it down into like a simple math equation in this business. And so for instance, if you think you're going to come in to this market now, let's say La Jolla, where you're from, or Miami, or let's say you're in Atlanta, Georgia, wherever, and you think that talking to like 10 sellers is going to get you a deal, you're obviously those expectations, you will quit because you talk to 10 sellers, you get no deal, you're going to say it doesn't work. But if you say, I got to talk to 5,000 sellers to get a deal, now your chances of quitting are a lot less. So I just think like trying to find that bar of expectation that's realistic by talking to smart people, listening to podcasts, meetups, etc. And like to go a little deeper internally is you got to just commit and want it. Like you have to commit. You sit in your room one day or in your car or at the gym and you're listening to this podcast, or you're reading this book, and you sit there for a second with no phone and nothing, and like you just think to yourself, okay, like I'm gonna do this. And that's it. And like, you have to like believe it and commit to it.
You got to go all in, dude. I'm such a firm believer of that, because there's too many people I talk to that are wanting to get into it. They're just getting into it. I can tell pretty quick when I have a conversation with someone that's new, if they've kind of got what it takes, just based on the way that they're talking. Like if they're obsessed, super passionate, driven, focused, they might be focused on what they're trying to accomplish, but they might be chasing a bunch of different ways to get there. And that's a different conversation around focus. But when it comes to just being focused on getting it done and committing to it, that's a whole nother thing, So,
No, it's crazy. I mean, it's funny because as we hire like some acquisitions people on our new acquisitions guys on our team and stuff, we had that same analysis you're talking about. Like when they come in, it's, man, does this guy really want it? We ask these questions. So man, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I just think it to the core, the person has to want it and then set their expectations in a level that's realistic. And you can get these expectations by watching videos or podcasts. You can just ask people like, hey, how many calls is it taking you to get a deal? How many mailers do I have to send to get a contract nowadays? Or how many texts do I have to send? So like if you get these numbers, then your chances of you quitting are substantially less.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You want to set goals. You want to have big goals, right? And you want to go after those. But a lot of people will set goals like, oh, I'm going to be making $10K a month, like right out the gate, or, I'm going to make $100,000 in the first month or whatever, which some people do and continue to do it. Right. And you can't say that it's not possible because that it is, but most people, including myself, have a learning curve. Like if I knew what I knew now, like just getting started out, my growth would have been, I would have taken the years of time, like figuring stuff out, including the years of making mistakes. It would have been just all smushed together and like, boom, an overnight success type of thing, but that wasn't my story. It took me time, and it took me years of figuring stuff out and making mistakes and overcoming obstacles, and then getting out of my own way at the end of the day, hiring people and growing the team from there.
Oh yeah, man. That's important, man. I mean, like you mentioned, there's a bunch of YouTube coaching programs set up. We're not saying to buy any of these or do this. However, if you could take the route to figure it out and still do it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that figure it out and make millions and millions and millions. And there's people who do it in a more organized, systematic fashion and make millions and millions and millions. You kind of just have to choose. But ultimately, to the core, you need to believe in you and fucking commit to that shit, man.
Yeah, 100%. At the end of the day, whether you get help or not, you're gonna get there if you stay committed to it.
Correct.
And you don't give up, because if you give up, you're done. You could come back to it. You could have a comeback story, but most of the time, like if you lose your momentum and just give up, it's going to be real tough to come back. So I definitely faced that several times, stared it right in the face of like, hey, if I were to give up now, this is a hole I can't dig myself out of without, just sucking it up and getting after it. So cool, man. So you got started. So you were selling cars to rich dudes flipping real estate, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't only them, but some of the cars I did sell, like I noticed that, and like just the light bulbs were going off, and so what happened was I saved some money from selling cars, and I started doing like finance manager. So for those of you guys who don't know, like what a finance manager is like the guy you sit with on the desk to sign the papers, and he does the loans or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so you got the salesperson and the guy in the desk in the room. I became the guy in the desk in the room, and I was making good money. But after that, I'm like, bro, I just can't do this anymore. Like, this is rough, man. So doing that and, just going through the motions, I was like, you guys are making money selling real estate, and I'm just like making $200-300 a car. We can sell real estate, make thousands.
Yeah.
I saved some money. I bought a rental property at 61,000.
Heck yeah.
I borrowed a little bit of money, and when I collected my first rent payment, I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I'm going to do forever.
I probably felt crazy. That was probably a moment that like established like this is what I need to do.
Yeah. The rent was like $800. I went and I collected it in person, and I got the check. I'm like, okay, this is no question about it. This is what I got to do forever.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, I was 21 and kind of dumb, but I guess that helped me because I didn't know a single thing. Like I literally did not know anything. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I just knew I wanted it. I'm like, and some people are like, dude, you're making offers on the MLS. That's retarded. Like, you're never going to get any deals. I'm like, whatever. I'm going to just try it. And then boom, I got deals. And then, oh, you're going to do mail. You're like, that's not going to make you any money. Okay, whatever. I'm just going to try it. Sean Terry said to do it, so I'm going to do it. Boom. Like,
heck yeah.
It wasn't rocket science, man.
Yeah. I mean, you said it right there. The biggest thing is you gotta try things out and see what works, because some things are going to work in some markets, some things are not going to work in other markets. And if you just don't try it and like see if it does and make adjustments and pivot, then it's going to be an uphill battle. So what was it for you? Like, as you're working through that and you're getting deals, how did you kind of scale yourself to feel like, all right, this is a real business now. Like, I actually know what I'm doing consistent deals. What was it for you that kind of got you there?
Yeah. I still question if I have a real business. Like, it's a really tough, thing, right? Like, it's advertised, but it's not, it's advertised all over on Instagram and stuff like, oh, this is a real business. But honestly, to have a real business is, it's a journey. But yeah. Honestly, like, in the beginning, I definitely messed up. I had some partners and family and friends type of partners that I brought in I started by myself, then I brought in some partners and they helped me, and they were great and they were good partners for me. But I didn't know how to structure the scale, what you said, right? Like I didn't know how to properly set up incentive plans, commission structures, salaries, equity, profit splits. I didn't know any of that stuff. And I was just like, oh, you can help me get more deals. Let's go. I don't care. So unfortunately, like those partnerships didn't end well, and it was all my fault. They did nothing wrong other than I just created these structures that made no sense. I just had no idea. So, but when I started to bring these people in, I'm talking about, and then others, was really just physically when I could not handle the amount of emails I was getting and the amount of calls I was getting. It was that simple. I was just like, oh my God, it's 7 p.m. and I still have 50 emails I have to reach. I can't do this anymore. So I'm like, I need somebody else. That was bring the little guy on.
This dude wants to say hi. So let's have him say hi real quick. You just had to get in the room, huh?
Hey.
You want to say hi? He can't hear you because I got the headphones on, but
you
want to wave? You want to wave?
You got some chocolate on the chin?
He's got an acai bowl all over his face.
Oh, you got to help me.
All right, you glad you got to come in? Okay, you got to leave the light alone, though. All right, so he'll probably be in again. What's funny is I use my wife got this light for him behind me, and I think he wants it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, let me get that back on there. So yeah, I think that's where a lot of people can go wrong, or can go right too, is the people when you're first getting started, who you surround yourself with. They're either going to lift you up and accelerate your growth, or they're going to hold you back and make things real tough. So it sounds like some of those relationships when you first got started, it wasn't maybe a good fit. Not that they weren't good people or whatever, but it just wasn't a good fit, right?
I think that it could have been a good fit. I just think I didn't structure it correctly.
Yeah.
And it could be a little topic to talk about here, because a lot of people in wholesale, or maybe someone wanting to get started and flipping, they're like, oh, it's me and my friend, we're going to do 50-50. Okay. Like partnerships like that.
That's the default right there.
Yeah. I'm sure you've been burned a little bit. I've been burned. So, and I blame it all on me, because I was the one who said, hey, come partner with me. And then I messed it all up. Okay. So, we could like briefly touch on that. I think it's valuable.
Yeah, let's do that.
People, whether you're starting or maybe you're already moving, maybe you've done 1 or 2 deals and you want to do more, and this guy can help you or this girl can help you. So for a wholesale business, from trial and error, we've seen that instead of doing like a 50-50 partnership, right? Like, hey, you're 50, I'm 50, although that could work if the stars align pretty well, anything's possible. But we've seen more like a profit split type thing. So to not get too complicated on it, instead of saying, hey, we're 50-50 on everything, let's say we spend 5,000 on marketing, you put 2,500, you put 2,500. The starter or the person who started the company could probably put the 5,000, and then you just split profits and the profits, or things like that.
Yeah.
So all this is just to open your mind listening to this, to 50-50 is not the only way to be a partner. I actually think in wholesale, I would think through it a little bit more, because it can get a little complicated.
Yeah, it can be tricky, I think, because a lot of people will rush into it, whether it's a buddy or just someone that they met at an event or something like that. They're like, yo, bro, let's link up. Let's just kill it. Let's go 50-50. And you get into it and you realize either 50% of the effort's not actually being provided by both people, or 50% of the skill sets aren't there. Get kind of messy. So I was fortunate, because after a year of being in the business, I stumbled upon my now business partner, and I was wholesaling him some deals in our local market. And he just approached me. I didn't even ever think about it, but he's like, hey, do you want to do some flips together? You're really good at finding deals. I was like, yeah, sure. That's kind of like the next step to go to from wholesaling. And I was like, well, I don't really have like all the financing together and enough funds like set aside for that. He's like, don't worry, I'll get that covered. You just keep finding the deals. So, first handful of deals were structured where he was bringing in the financing. And then very soon after, stars aligned again. And I had a private lender come through one of my direct mail pieces. And he's like, hey, I don't want to sell my house, but what kind of return could you give me? So I gave him a 10% return. And for years of flipping, he had millions of dollars, and we used him for almost all of them, and was pretty incredible. But for a good year and a half to 2 years, my partner and I structured it to where he used his entity, I used my entity, and we basically did a JV on the deal, right? Okay. And the way I did, just to protect myself, even though I was kind of a newbie, I'm a kind of a control freak. So I had it in my entity. We would buy it in my entity. His company would fund it, and then we would do the deal and disperse the profits. So, nice. And then we were like, well, we work really well together. This is working well. So let's form an actual company where we're both actual owners of it. We are 50-50, and we've been doing that for years now.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I love 50-50 partnerships for fix and flips. I think that's a really clean, easy way. Either one person puts the deal, one puts the money, or maybe you guys split the money, whatever. I think that's a super clean way, definitely.
Yeah, it can work really well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this, it's just a way to like open your mind, think about partnerships. And, before you just get into bed with someone at just a 50-50, like really just sit there and think about it, run through different scenarios, search on YouTube, partnership, structures, like just look at it and educate yourself. Because if you do get going, and I'm sure there's a 10, 20, 30% of you that will actually start doing deals, you guys will actually start killing it. And then once there's hundreds of thousands of dollars flowing through the accounts and you have a 50-50 partner or a partnership you're not happy with, things can get a little fishy.
Get fishy, yeah, get messy. So I think the biggest point is not to rush into it, don't rush into it. It actually is a really big decision. And if you have a formal partnership through an entity, to like break that down and dissolve it and split ways is a lot more difficult than if you just kind of loosely work together on deals and joint venture. That's a much simpler way to do it. And if you find out after, I'd consider a couple of years of that working out well, then maybe form a partnership at that point, because just makes it easier for doing deals. But yeah, I think that's a really good point to bring up.
Yeah, because the flip side, man, is a great partner can be a great partner, and it could really elevate your success. It could like make it a lot more fulfilling. I've seen, if you have a good partner on your fix and flips or in your wholesale business, and you crush it in a month, or even if you don't do well in a week, like it's just more fulfilling to have someone there that you guys are on the same frequency, like just planning things, making sure things are going right. Okay, things went wrong this week. Where do we got to go? All right, I'll take care of this. You take care of that. This is never going to happen again. Like it just becomes like a really cool game once you got the right partner. So I think that's great, man. I hear when I go to these masterminds or seminars and stuff, so many people are like, oh, me and my buddy are going to partner up. Me and my girlfriend are going to partner. Me and my wife, I'm like, do it, but just like, think a little bit about it.
Yeah. That's the default for so many people getting started out. They're super excited. They're trying to attach that excitement with someone else who's excited.
Yeah. And
they're both thinking, well, dude, if we're both excited, we're both, got a lot of passion and desire, this will work, it's not so easy. Just like any relationship isn't easy, it's there's a lot of pieces that got to come together. So how's that evolved for you since kind of working through that, and what's your team look like now?
Yeah. So we had some breakups, like I said, all my fault, but so after a couple of years, which actually we talked a little bit about quitting in the beginning of this, after like 2018, I really felt like quitting because all these, the partnerships didn't come through. My MLS strategy was not working anymore because there was no foreclosures, no short, or very little, right? Very little foreclosure, very little short sales, less listings. Hedge funds were buying everything. So I was like going from at that point, I was probably doing like 7 deals a month, like closed deals. And it got to like 1 deal a month. And I was like, and already once you get to a level, you buy a nice car, you live in a nice
You're not
space.
Ready to go backwards.
Yeah. So it's hard to go backwards. I'm like, oh shoot. Like this was like 6 or 7 months of doing like a deal a month. And I'm like getting depressed. I'm like, I don't know what, like I was thinking of other avenues. I'm like, okay. I had a call with one of my mentors at the time, Kent Clothier. He's also
I'm going to see him this weekend.
Oh yeah, he's doing a thing in San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So Kent at the time, we got on the phone. He told me, he's like, "Hey man, could you by yourself do one wholesale deal a month and make 10 grand? And at least until you figure it out to make three, you make 30 or whatever." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Then why are you complaining so much?" He's like, "Go out there and do a deal." I'm like, "Okay." So at that moment, I'm like, "All right,
That sounds like
all this
somebody
that
would say.
happened, yeah, all this that happened, those were friendly words, but he
Yeah, yeah,
used
right.
this in verbiage. So all this partner stuff that happened, what I did to mess up, etc., put that in the past, and I'll just move forward. So I had like a nice office at the time. I went in, I had like two or three team members, acquisitions and whatever, and we went in and I just sat there and I started making offers with them. We started doing cold calling and shifting our marketing and stuff to off market. And that was kind of like the birth of like the new business, which is pretty much all off market right now. So
That's great.
yeah, so evolved till today, what our team looks like. We have Lewis, he's our COO. We have two acquisitions agents that are closers. So we've got two closers, and then we have five juniors.
Oh, cool.
We have a dispo girl, Anna. She's a VA out of Mexico, but she's great. I have a
Nice.
personal assistant, Lydia. So we're like 13 or maybe 12 or 13 people.
You got a solid team.
Solid team, man. Solid team. So through like kind of like we were talking about like playing Tetris, right? Like this piece doesn't fit. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
piece doesn't fit. After like really just going through that state, then you come up with a structure, man. And this seems like it could work.
That's a story for probably just about everybody that's gotten to where we're at, and I'm just hearing you thinking about trying to put all those pieces of the puzzle together and trying to give those responsibilities and roles to other people is tough because you're having to evolve yourself as well into a doer and a high performing doer to then a manager and a leader, and those are all things that can be really tough. When you went back to that moment in 2018 where you were doing a deal a month, I think one of the big things that's really important to call out and for people listening to hear is my story is the same, and I'm sure it's similar or the same for most as well. What you're doing that's working doesn't mean it's going to work forever. So you got to be ready to pivot, ready to try new things and adjust. And there have been pivotal moments in my business where if I did not, I would have got crushed and did the same thing where my business went from doing a steady number of deals here to just, and if you don't figure that out quick enough, then it's again, like all businesses, they have money coming in and money coming out. And if you have not enough money coming in, then you're done. It's a cash flow problem. So
no, it happened. I think, if you're listening, you just have to be prepared for that. Even if it's to get that first deal that you think maybe you go in thinking that to get your first deal is going to be cold calling. And then maybe a month later, for some reason, cold calling is no longer working, or it's illegal where you're from or whatever, then you got to pivot. And like what happened to me where I really messed up was I was married to my idea too much. I was married to my MLS strategy too much. Like I had associated with, this is me, this is what I'm good at. Like, that's it. Like, I'm going to figure this out, run through the wall.
Yeah.
And at some point I'm like, I broke it down to numbers. I'm like when I started, there was 1,000 listings. Now there's 375. So like, even if it's just not even possible for me to get to the volume.
Right.
Once I kind of like ingrained that, I'm like, all right, let's shift. Let's go somewhere else and let's figure this thing out.
That's huge, man. So how did you learn how to do the off-market marketing? Because that in itself, you could throw money at it, but throw money at the wrong stuff, dude, and just cannibalize yourself and get no good quality leads. I won't name names or anything, but I literally just had a conversation with somebody that just spent so much money on marketing a month ago, and like their hands are up in the air. I got no money left.
Oh my God.
I was like, whoa, that's a lot of money that you spent there. But
so I wouldn't even look too far. The guy you're talking to right here, that happened to me when I started, because I was used to a level of deals and whatever. So I'm like, okay, oh, we can direct mail. Okay, we can send postcards, and then we get calls, and then we get deals. Okay, no, why are we going to send 1,000? Let's send 20,000. Let's send 50,000. That's how I literally started like that. And I haven't told anyone, but really my first year on trying this off-market model on the wholesale business, I was down 200 grand at the end of the year in cash.
Dang.
200 grand. Luckily, I had done some fix and flips that I made some money. So I kind of like broke.
But on a P&L, you were down 200. You had enough cash to like maybe survive, barely.
Yeah.
But
no, if it wasn't for my fix and flips, I would have, it was bad. I remember I had taken a solo trip to Indonesia to kind of like, things were changing. So I just wanted to get away. And I remember being on the beach. It was midnight there, but my accountant called me and it was whatever, 12 p.m. here. He's like, hey, Raul, I'm finishing up your tax returns for the year. And dude, you lost $222,000 or whatever the number was in your wholesale business. I'm like, I'm aware. I'm aware.
I'm in Indonesia and I'm never coming back.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm aware. Well, dude, here a massage is $8, so I can go pretty far here. So
right.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was a bad time for me.
Dang.
And so how I pivoted was I just had to figure out how to get better. And really all I did was just talk to people doing it. Like, just talk to smart people, attended masterminds. I had a friend, Brandon, that's still a friend to this day, that he was doing a lot of virtual wholesale and using text messages and direct mail and stuff. So I just, we were kind of friends before, but now that I was going that route, I just started hanging out with him more. I'm like, bro, look, I can't really add any value to you right now because I don't know this world, but I'll figure out how to make up for it, but like teach me this. So he did, and then I ended up introducing him to people, and he ended up making a lot of money doing other things. But really talking to people that are doing it and actually like really making money, that was how I did it. I guess it sounds simple when I say it, but that's really how it happened. That's really how it happened.
This Rugrat's on one today. Apparently he wants to hug my leg. He's really obsessed with me, probably because he knows I'm on video. But yeah, that's the number one advice I give to people is don't be afraid to ask for help. You know what I mean? You got to get out there. You got to make yourself vulnerable, willing to talk to people and ask for help. Because if you just close down and have too much pride that you're not willing to ask out for help. Now, there's a big difference between being like, because I've had people kind of approach it this way where they're like, please help me. Like, I need. And it's like, whoa, like, I don't need that baggage, But I've also had people come to me like, yo, dude, I'm trying to figure this out. Like, I need help. I'm working hard on putting this together. Right. And they're not complaining about it, but they're showing like they're putting in the work. Like, hey, can you help me put these couple pieces of the puzzle together? Or, hey, I got this deal, but I don't have the money for this or that piece. How can we work together? If you're putting in the work, people are going to see that. And there's too many good people out there that wouldn't see that energy, feel that good energy, and want to receive it and give some back,
For sure. No, and like a little tip for those of you, is if you want to reach out to somebody on Instagram or whatever that you see, or you aspire to have the results, I would say throw in some numbers. If you're actually doing it, like I would be like, the way that I would approach it to people at a higher level than me is I'm like, hey, for instance, for YouTube, like YouTube's a thing I'm trying to grow. So when I see big YouTubers, or what I message them is, hey, look, this is how many views I'm getting. This is how many videos a week I'm doing. I can't figure out how to get from here to here. What would you suggest? So now, like this, the person reading this, so in a wholesale perspective, be like, hey, Raul, I've made, or maybe you want to reach out to Dean. Hey, Dean, I've made 800 calls. I've gotten 3 leads. I've gone on 1 appointment. I haven't gotten a deal. I can't figure out how to get my first deal. Like now, Dean, you read that, you're gonna be like, oh, this guy's like, he's up to something, like I want to help him.
Yeah. Something tangible. That's a really good point. Because some people will be like, hey, I need help. I can't do my first deal.
Yeah. It's like, but what, yeah,
okay.
What do you need help on,
Yeah. And I feel for people getting started, because I was there, and I know at times you can feel lost. You don't even know what the next thing is that you need to focus on, and but there's too much free information out there to really have an excuse. Like I got started on a free podcast.
Yeah.
Now I'll just, it was the best free podcast of all time, Sean Terry. But I just followed that. What's that?
The 5K formula. I remember that one.
Yeah, he had a bunch of different little programs that get you locked, really focused. And that's what I did. I followed some of the very specific things that he had. So yeah, there's too much free information out there to kind of make the excuse like I don't know what to do next. Because you just got to get focused and put in some research time, But I like that point. If you're looking for help and you're looking to kind of propel yourself forward, show that you're putting in work and give a specific thing you need help with. And if you then do it and you're getting some results and you share that back, that person might want to continue investing some of their mind's power into some of that and continue giving you advice, Yeah,
because it feels good, right? Like if they ask you like, hey, Dean, I've called 1,000 people, I've gone to appointments, whatever. And then you're like, hey, listen, instead of calling, why don't you text 1,000 people and try to go on 6 appointments? And then, instead of offering 70% of ARV, you offer 80. And then imagine like 3 weeks later, they message you, hey, I got my first deal. Like, it's going to feel really good. And you'll be like, oh, cool. Like, I want to keep helping this person, So if you can be that person that's reaching out to that person, for help in that way, it's going to achieve a lot more success. And like you said, like, don't feel bad about reaching out for help if you're doing it the right way. I mean, honestly, like, I guess I don't want to say I always reach out for help, but my ego has always been left at the door. Like I literally reach out for help now for everything. It's crazy. I probably don't even know how to do anything. But, like,
what's funny about that is, there's some people that grind it through and grit it through, and they kind of push themselves up to the top. But honestly, if you look closely, there's a lot of people who are in places you want to be that are just good at asking for help and good at connecting the right people, good at, finding the right people to associate with and do stuff like that. And I just came back from a mastermind this week, and there's people that are way ahead of me, people that are at the same level, some people that are, working their way up. And dude, I walked away with so much information and just energized. And every person, no matter what level they were at, we're all talking, willing to help each other. And that's just what it's all about, is if you open yourself up and put in the work, like, people are going to see that, they're going to want to help you out and see you win,
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking the truth too, man, I see a lot of people like trying to like,
heck yeah,
hide or bloat, not bloat, gloat, no, or whatever that word is, like boast. I don't know.
Gloat's one. Yeah.
Okay. So make themselves seem like bigger, or make yourself seem like you're making more than you are. Like, you can do that, but it's really not an effective strategy to ask for help, because you're not going to get the help you actually need, right? Like, if you're actually thinking 50,000 a year to go to 100,000, don't tell yourself, or don't tell others, I'm making 80, these little white lies overall kind of go a long way. But, listening to this stuff and asking for help, honestly, that's how I got out of that rut. And I was able to turn it around and, do multiple 6 figures every month since. Pretty much. It was a journey, though. Like, it took me a lot. I lost some money that first year. The second year wasn't great, but then the third year back onto the off market thing and beyond has been good. So it's not all rainbows and butterflies, man. To get a call that you lost 200 grand a year, really, it's not a nice call. So it's not always a joy.
Yeah, no, I've been there, dude. I've got some sad stories that I've told a couple other places. And if you're willing to accept that that's potentially part of the journey, and again, not quit, like, you're going to come out of that stronger. And it just kind of comes with the territory. So you got to kind of buckle up and be willing to fight through it, because the other side of it's really rewarding and creates a lifestyle that if you didn't push through, you'd never be there. Not a chance,
Yeah, dude.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say also, like, the bigger that you go, the bigger your problems will be, or, losing 20,000 as opposed to 200,000, or as opposed to 2 million or 20 million, right? There's people that might lose 20 million. That means that their problems are really big. So, I mean, you just got to, at one point, choose what problems you want. I I've always said I want the problem that I need to hire the best tax strategist because I need to pay 500 grand in taxes in a year. I want that problem because that means I netted a ton of money.
Yeah.
And I would love to have that conversation with the tax strategist. I would love to sit, go to their office on the 30th floor, the marble thing, pay $5,000 to be in a consultation. I would love that. Like, I can't wait. But, I don't want the problem that, I can't find the accountant that wants to do, so you have to like think about that as well.
Yeah. Heck yeah, dude. That's, I just literally came out of that mastermind again. One of the biggest value add things that I got from it was around taxes, because I'm sitting here with a 6-figure tax liability this year. And I left with a very specific tax strategy that I just before this call just got done implementing the first steps of it. And I'll be able to use it for this tax year that we just finished. And most likely will wipe out 100% of my tax liability and might even get a refund, dude.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, these are good problems though. Like those conversations are, although it's not good to stroke a 6-figure check to the IRS, but that means that something went well,
Right.
Someone who makes, not that it's bad to make 20 or 30,000 a year, don't get me wrong, but if you make 20, 30 grand a year, you're not paying 200 grand in taxes.
Yeah.
You're paying 200 grand, you do well. So, like, God, the problem's going to happen, pick the big problems that you want. And, at that point I was sad, I was kind of like shaken up, but I was okay with these problems, partnership problems, thousands of dollars problems. Like I was okay. I was like, all right, let's figure this out. Let's go to a bigger solution.
Yeah, totally. So tell me, man, I've been looking at your Instagram and I see some DJ stuff going on there. So is this living out that Miami life or something that was, a childhood dream or something that just came out of the blue? Let's talk about that.
Oh man, it's a hobby there. So I've always liked music, mainly like electronic music, deep house, techno, that kind of stuff. And one year I went to Mykonos, Greece, with some friends. It's like a boys trip type of thing. And it was the first time I was really put in an environment with like some, good DJs from that world. And I'm like, man, this is like sick. Like I want to be playing up there one day, like I want to be like the one controlling the vibe of the party, or like, just like it could be a little ego driven or whatever, but like, I truly just love the music. And so same thing, same like process. I bought the turntables and I bought the mixer, and then I hired a DJ to help to teach me, like a coach.
Heck yeah.
And dude, I trained for like a year, like doing it, a couple lessons, lesson every week, things like that. Bought some online courses.
That's cool.
YouTube videos, learned how to do it, and then kind of figured it all out. And then I played a couple gigs, and man, honestly, I could just play for hours and hours. Honestly, it's just like one of those things that I'm not an artistic person, like per se, but this brings out like kind of like the artistic side. And it's a way like I feel like I could express a different side of my brain that in business is kind of very square, numerical, analytical. And when you're there, like you could just mix songs together. Like there's endless amount of opportunities, literally endless amount of flow. And it's just a weird, interesting thing that I don't know. I enjoy. And I want to take it to the next level. You'll see me out there.
That's cool, man. So what do you like when you're up there? Are you dancing around? Are you throwing a party yourself, or what's that like?
That's good. A little bit. Yeah, I'm dancing around. I'm definitely feeling the music. Like all the music I play is like I carefully choose it and stuff like that. So I'm dancing around. I'm moving a little bit. It also depends on the vibe, right? There's a certain vibe that's like a little bit more of a serious type of environment, or there's a very like, I have a couple different not genres, but a couple different types of vibes. One's a more like dance type of thing, one's a little bit more like deep and more like chill. So but yeah, man,
that's cool.
Yeah, when I do a new like new SoundCloud mix, I'll send it to you so you can
okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah, dude.
Got to get my party boy outfit on and be ready to party it up, huh?
Dancing shoes.
There we go.
Yeah, it was cool. Like one of my boys, he invited me to play in one of his parties that he does in Jamaica every year. And that was like an accomplishment for me. It was like literally I wrote it in my goals last year. I'm like, I want to play at a big party. And I did that and I'm like, oh, this was addicting. I was like, I want to do this again. Like it was amazing. So um yeah, man, that's another little side hustle.
Heck yeah, that's cool. Um, so tell me what real estate's done for you in terms of like your lifestyle. So it seems like, with the DJing and some of the other stuff, just what that part of the world you're in, Miami has to offer in terms of kind of like that outdoor tropical life. What has that done for your lifestyle?
Man, like so much. Like, where do I start? Right. So, dude, crazy. Like in the wholesale side, it makes a lot of cash. Bought some rentals, but honestly, like I'm just very happy with like what we get to do. Whether you're flipping houses or wholesaling houses, I don't know. I've just since the beginning, I was just like super happy doing it. I've never done anything like shady or anything. That's probably why I haven't made like all the money in the world. But I don't know. I'm just
No,
happy.
you'll make more at the end of the day, I think,
Yeah,
doing the right thing. I'm the same way, man. It's like no matter what it is, even if it's small, like you always got to do the right thing. You don't want to
yeah,
burn those bridges. You just want to hold yourself at the highest level, and people will respect that, dude.
yeah. Because there's some people that kind of start at the same time, and I see them like escalating, and I'm like, whatever. But yeah, I'm just happy with I'm just happy with doing this stuff, man. I love the rental game. I own some rentals. I like to fix and flip. I like the wholesale. Like, I don't know.
What do
I
you
just
think?
like
What do you think about it that you like so much? Is it like the business side of it? Is the money side of it? The transactions? Is it the like you like at this point building up your team maybe before talking to sellers? Like, what do you think specifically is that you like about it?
That's a good question. I think it's the building side of it, like in the sense of for the wholesale business, like building up the business and on the way there, like, helping a new person get a deal or selling a deal or getting it a little bit more discounted, like that building phase, and then hiring the next person, and then having the acquisitions and the dispo talk without you and then the transaction coordinator, all of them talk, do a deal, wire in the bank. You didn't even say a word, like that excites me. So that was like kind of my first mission, was to set up the wholesale business like that. Then mission number 2 and 3, set up a fix and flip and rental operation like that. I think that's a really good question. I hadn't like thought about it too much like that, but I really think it's like the building business phase of each that like gets me up and gets me like really excited all the time.
Yeah, I'm similar. Like for me, big time, I love the transactional side of it, like getting another deal. Like
Yeah.
that part for me has always been more exciting than money hitting the bank, even though that's where you get paid.
Right.
It's always been the opportunity, like, oh, I got another deal and
Yeah.
I know what that's going to do for us. I know what that means. And that was always the most exciting part.
Yeah. And then what's awesome is as a wholesaler, and as you get a little bit more mature, in the business world, you see that other deal, and like now your brain thinks of it not only as a wholesale deal, but as a possible flip, as a possible rental, as a possible owner finance, as a possible lease option, as a possible JV. So like even more, like I think if you have that mindset, getting more into the game, like you'll go crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. It gets fun, man. When you start winning, like that's really exciting. And then you stack those wins and then other doors start opening, other things you can start getting into. That's where it gets really, really fun. So besides that, like what other hobbies do you have that you feel like have been able to been fueled or kind of lived out because of success you've seen in real estate?
Yeah. Yeah. So the beautiful thing about real estate is that if you do it well, you don't have to work 70, 80 hours a week. You could. That's what I like about it. You could if you want to, but you can do a couple deals or set up your business in a way that it can be very lucrative with little time. What other activities, man? I like to travel, kind of like a lot of us. I like doing like pretty long vacations and stuff. Boating is something I'm getting into.
That Florida thing right there, man.
Yeah, down here in Florida, it's a thing. So, and just chilling, going out to eat, things like that. Like Um, This is a good question. Actually, I haven't thought much. I don't have like any. I play basketball. I play a lot of basketball.
Heck yeah, dude. Me too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got like a pickup team or what? Like a certain place you go to?
So it's funny. Like, yeah, we got the kiddos running here.
Yep.
They want to be a part of the show.
They want to be so bad.
So I always I think people who play basketball are competitive. So you probably understand this, but I always wanted to be better than all my friends. So I hired a basketball coach like 4 months ago.
Heck yeah,
So
dude.
so I've been
What
training
kind of
with
stuff
the
you
bas-
doing?
Huh?
What kind of stuff are you guys doing? Like agility drills,
Yeah.
shooting technique and stuff like that?
It's between drilling, finishing at the basket and shooting. Is probably like the most of it.
Heck yeah,
So
dude.
I train with him twice a week, and then I try to play like one pickup basketball once a week. So I play a little basketball, boating, going out with friends, things like that. But ball's life, man. Ball's life. Let's
Ball is
go.
life, dude. Yeah, for me, sports was a huge part of my life. So being able to keep in something competitive like that is what always drew me to continue playing basketball. And obviously, basketball's easier and more accessible to play with other people than like getting together a bunch of guys to play a football game or something like that, or
Yeah.
baseball or something like that. So yeah, dude, I love basketball. I love the intensity of it,
Uh,
quick back and forth and all the athletic ability and stuff around it. It's just super fun.
the cardio is great too, man. Like I wear
Yeah,
the
big time.
ring when I play sometimes, and I mean every session is at least like between 750 to like 1,000 calories burned
Yeah.
session. So it's like, I mean, it's great cardio.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Awesome. Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, that's something you can definitely start getting into, is like getting that professional help and different things that you like to do. You hired a coach for DJing, you hired a coach for basketball. I think that's badass, dude.
I
That's
got a
super
personal
cool.
trainer for the gym. I
Yep.
just like, I think I just know myself. I know I'm a little bit lazy by nature. So if I hire these people and they're there waiting for me at the gym, like I'm going. So it's kind of like my own little hack to myself to like train my discipline even more.
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty disciplined with business, but when it came to health, I played sports and stuff. But when sports ended for me, it was tough for me to like get back into a groove of like that I enjoyed. I would always go to the gym. I never really enjoyed it. So I'm like, man, I think if I hire like good people and for them to train me, like it'll be more fun for me. So, obviously it's a little bit of a luxury because it costs money, but if
Yeah.
you guys got a little extra money and you like basketball, like soccer or whatever, like, pay for a coach, like a session a week is like, I don't know, 40, $50. It's nothing crazy. And it'll kind of like put a little pip in your step, you get to
Yeah.
go and play, like you have fun, you'll do cardio. Or if you want to get into the gym, maybe just sacrifice a month of a trainer. It's the money, and then just get back into the groove and then go by yourself. But so
I
there's some
like
things I
that.
really like to work out, basketball, shit like that.
That's cool. What are some of like the daily habits that you have that you feel are kind of allowing you to be in a groove right now and kind of see the successes that you're having?
Yeah. Oh, that's good, man. So besides coffee, so have you read the book The Miracle Morning? Or I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
I haven't read it, but I know all about it.
Yeah. So there's a book called The Miracle Morning, which kind of like fueled my fire on it. But really, like the two main things I do every morning is I write what I'm grateful for in a notebook for 4 minutes. I time it, I have a little timer.
Heck
It's
yeah.
not my phone because I don't look at my phone in the morning for the first like 30 minutes. So that's a habit to not look at your phone that, I kind of like. But you get this little timer, you put 4 minutes, and I just write what I'm grateful for. Like, hey, grateful for my health, my family, friends, things like that. And then I turn the page and then I write my quarterly goals. You know, I want to make X. I want to lose X weight. I want to work out 5 days a week. I want to buy 6 houses, whatever it is. I write it. I keep it like 3 to 5 goals. So I write those two things every single morning, no matter what. Those are like the habits. Those two habits are probably like the ones that I've stuck with the longest. Then I have the gym. I do gym 3 times a week and basketball twice a week. And then those are pretty much the only habits. Besides that, I always look at my calendar. I have everything set up on my Google Calendar. Um, so the night before, I set up my day for the next day. Maybe
Yeah,
stuff like that, man. I mean,
that's good. Yeah, you've found what works, and just sticking with it and continuing to kind of follow that. Um, and I think some of those things about scheduling and kind of having your week planned out for your own self too is
yeah,
also what probably like encourages you and continues to drive you.
yeah. No, definitely. Like I at first I didn't like the idea of having everything on a calendar, but after I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of freedom in having a good calendar, or a good thing. For me, I was never like the guy who's super structured, but once I got structured, I can structure my free time or structure my fun time. So I have on my calendar basketball from 8 a.m. to 9:30, gym 6 p.m. to so like I have it on, I look forward to seeing that on the calendar. So it's, it helped
And
me.
that's gonna keep you energized too,
Yeah. Or like if you have a vacation, leaving to Bahamas Friday, so like you look forward to it. And that habit also has helped me probably in the longevity of like business life.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Is there anything else you kind of want to talk about, or anything that you would think would be good for the audience to hear?
Yeah, we covered a pretty good amount. And I think we covered some good points. Depending on who's listening to this, if you're listening and maybe you're just getting started, just commit and do it. There's 100,000 ways to do it. Pick one and then go for it. If you're like maybe on the train right now that you're not making the money you want to be making, or maybe you're making more, making less, and there's you're not alone. You're not alone. It's not your fault. People go through it. It happens.
Yeah,
Just get back up and do it.
100%. Well, cool, man. How can people get a hold of you?
YouTube, Instagram. So YouTube channel Raul Bolufe, Instagram at Raul Bolufe, and those are pretty much the best ways. I have a website raulbolufe.com, but YouTube and Instagram are probably the one that I look at the most.
Cool. Well, we'll make sure we throw all that stuff up for people that want to check you out. And awesome, man. It's super great to have you on. We have a lot of things in common, dude. In terms of like origin story, just some of the things that we like to do. Even some of the phrases you use are like the same kind of ones I use too regularly. So it's been fun for me, man. Well, thanks for joining. And if you guys want to check out Raul, check him out online, give him some support and love, and appreciate having you on, man.
Thank you, man.
All righty. Take care.